Well, hello again, Ken.
Hi,
Great,
Andrea.
great to have you here. Today, we are going to be diving into scams. And I know that this sounds like a very intimidating subject, but in this day and age when so many of us are spending a lot of time online, we are starting to notice that some of these scams are popping up. So these are the weird phone calls we're getting, the weird emails we're getting, the weird text messages we're getting. And I thought that you would be a really great person to just explain a little bit about what's going on, what to look for, and where to go if it's come upon our plate. So thank you so much, and I will just let you take it from here.
Okay, sure. So let's go through it. So I think what we'll do is I'll run through some of the key indicators that something might be a scam, because they all have some things in common that should just set off alarm bells in people. So we'll talk about what those are,
Right.
and then run through some examples that typically happen, so
Okay.
people can recognize them more easily. So scam. What do we mean by a scam? It's essentially a situation where somebody is trying to part you with your money. That's what it boils down to.
Okay.
The end goal is to get your money somehow, whether it's to fool you into parting with it voluntarily, or for you to give away enough information that they can hack your account and take it from you. But the end goal is always to get your money in some way. So what are the key things that should set off alarm bells and people? And scams will typically have one or more of these associated with them. So first is, by definition, I mean, really, they're unexpected. Something just pops up out of the blue, whether it's a phone call or an email or a text message. So I mean, it may sound obvious, but official organizations will never just call you up and generally ask you for money out of the blue. Certainly not government agencies or anything like that. There's one exception. We'll get to that. So there's always some form of communication first before that kind of thing happens. If it's unexpected and you're surprised by it, think twice.
Okay.
The other key thing they do frequently is they'll try and instill a sense of urgency that you need to do something today, now, right away. And either because something bad will happen if you don't, or you will lose out on an opportunity if you don't take action right away, right? So it's either bad consequences or a lost opportunity. One of those bad consequences actually might be arrest. So there's a threat involved with whatever it might be. It's quite frequent. The CRA calls you up and says, you need to pay us right now or we will send somebody to your house to arrest you. So there's both urgency and threat there.
Right.
A lot of scams come in by phone, and most of us these days have caller ID. So a couple of comments on that. One sure thing that should fire off an alarm bell is if it doesn't look like a normal phone number.
Okay.
Those 11 digits, area code, whatever. If it just looks like some string of numbers, that usually means it's from something like Skype or some other. Most scammers don't make phone calls that they actually have to pay for. They'll use Skype, and that's what those numbers look like if they come in.
Okay.
So that should be a signal that maybe something wrong here.
Right.
Even if it does look like a regular phone number, those phone numbers can be spoofed so easily by people that know how to do it. It is not hard. So it may look like a local number. The first 6 digits may be the same as your phone number, and it's only the last 4 that are different. So you go, oh, it's somebody in my neighborhood that's calling. Right. It means absolutely nothing, right? So just be aware of that. And then a surefire indicator is if they are asking you for money now, that they don't want it in normal currency. They want it in something like Bitcoin, if people even know what that is.
Right.
Or a very popular one is prepaid credit cards.
Okay.
And you see these things in corner stores, in Walmart, Shoppers, Drug Mart, everywhere, right? And if you buy one of those things for $50, that piece of plastic is now $50 cash. You can mail it to somebody and it's $50 cash.
Right.
Go, oh no, we won't take, we don't write a check, don't do this. go to your store and buy 15 prepaid credit cards for $50 and mail them to us.
Right.
That's nothing legitimate is ever going to ask you to do that.
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. The other signal on the phone is, if the phone rings, you pick it up and there's a delay. You pick it up and you go, hello? And there's 2 or 3 seconds of delay.
Right.
That's another surefire signal that it was robo-dialed.
Okay.
Because people very rarely dial these numbers themselves. It's a computer that dials, and then when you come on the line, then it signals somebody else to go, hey, we've got somebody, and a real life person has to come on the other end. That takes a few seconds. So if you answer the phone and there isn't somebody ready to talk to you right away, just hang up. I never do hang up. I love talking to these people. I try and keep them going for as long as I can. I think my record's
wasting their time.
Exactly. I figured it's better they're talking to me even.
That's smart.
So those are the key indicators. The 2 big ones are the urgency and the threat that are there. If they're trying to make you do it now or they're threatening you in any way, that's not it. So typically, how do these things actually manifest? So we mentioned the CRA. That's a very popular one. We're recording this at tax time in Canada.
Yes.
So it's very common that you'll go, hey, we got your tax return. There's a mistake in it. You owe us another $400. So that's a very common one. The CRA one.
Don't pay us, you'll be arrested.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are. What these guys typically do is they'll look at people's names that are public listed, and they will tend to pick names that they assume that where you might be an immigrant.
Okay.
And if you've immigrated from a country where it may actually be considered possible that this sort of thing could happen,
right?
Those people are assumed to be more vulnerable, and sometimes they are, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, the thing to be aware of. The CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency, is never going to phone you up out of the blue with no prior notice and demand money from you.
Right.
You will get a letter first, or you'll get an email that says, log into your account because we have information for you.
Right.
That kind of thing. The other Canadian agency that is a victim of this is Services Canada. These are the people that handle the unemployment benefit, and during the pandemic that we're having, the emergency relief benefits that are being created. So it's entirely possible, if it hasn't happened already, that you're going to have somebody call you up and go, hey, your application for the emergency relief benefit's been approved, but we had some trouble depositing the money in your account. Can I verify your account information with you now? Because we want you to get the money as quickly as possible. Right? And if you're unsuspecting, you might go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this is my branch, this is my account. Yeah.
But again, it's that sense of urgency, right? That's not real.
Yeah, here it might not be a threat. It's you won't get your money that's sitting here just waiting for you if you don't do this right away. So they're trying to instill that. Ooh, I want it now. As well as government agencies, public utilities are another one that crop up a lot, be it BC Hydro, and it's typically the same kind of thing. They'll phone you up and go, hey, your last payment didn't go through, you owe us $400, and off we go once again, right?
And that has an easy fix because you can call BC Hydro back yourself and find out. Exactly.
The other one is, that's quite prevalent is travel companies.
Okay.
And it's a couple of years ago, I got these calls all the time. Thank you for choosing WestJet.
or the you won a cruise.
Yeah, exactly. Or, a week in a timeshare in the Bahamas or whatever it is. I got one actually a few weeks ago where apparently I had some credit in an account with some travel company because of the last trip I made.
Right.
Okay, but
where are you going to go right now, Ken?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think so. Right? Again, it was out of the blue. It's like somebody out of the blue tells you have money.
Right.
unless it's a lawyer, it's probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not real. One of my favorite ones is the Windows Support Center. This is very common. It's been going for years. Somebody will phone you up and go, "Hey, we've detected a virus on your machine.
Okay.
And we're from Windows and we're here to help you fix it." And nobody can tell that you have a virus on your machine from the outside. It's just no. And what they do is they'll walk you through your machine and tell you to go to a particular directory and look at some files that look really strange, and they'll tell you that's evidence of a virus, and it's just normal kind of computer information. There's nothing bad about it. And eventually what they'll try and get you to do is to install software on your machine to cure the virus.
Right.
So in this case, they're conning you into installing malware, which will then do whatever it needs to do. And then they'll charge you a few $100s for curing the virus, just for good measure as well. Right. As an aside there, if you want some entertainment on YouTube, you can go and Google Windows Support Center calls, because there's a lot of people that will keep these guys going forever.
Maybe we'll have to put one at the end of this video.
And there's one I saw a couple of weeks ago. I think he's an Irish fellow who was able to, as they were hacking him, he was able to hack them, and was able to get into the surveillance cameras in the building in India. So he's on YouTube. He's actually got this video of the guy he's talking to on the screen. It's hilarious.
Oh no.
Yeah. Another nasty one. This is rare, but I believe you said this actually happened to your family. Is essentially the kidnapping scam, where you will get a phone call and which will say, "Hey, either I've kidnapped your granddaughter." Typically, these are targeted at grandparents, more elderly, therefore assumed to be more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're going to be, "Hey, so-and-so's in trouble in some far-flung country. I need to bail them out. Can you wire me funds?"
Yeah, and that was the circumstance. It was my grandmother who was contacted, and the person who called said that they used the real name of my younger brother's best friend. And they said, "Hi, it's so-and-so calling," who of course my grandmother knew. And they said, "Your grandson is in Mexico. He's gotten into trouble. I can't explain it right now." So there's that sense of urgency, right? And can you send us money? And my grandmother had the wits about her to contact my family and ask if in fact my brother was traveling and and so she didn't end up falling for it, but it was quite frightening and very disconcerting because they had used a real name. They knew the name of his friend. They knew his name and her phone number. So very uncomfortable for sure.
And with a little bit of research, it's easy to find out who people's close friends are, depending on how.
Facebook.
Exactly. So it's quite easy to get enough information to come across as being, legitimate. It really doesn't take very much at all. In that particular case, I'd really recommend, in that case, if it happens, is contact law enforcement. The non-emergency number. You do not want to be dialing, you need to emphasize, call the non-emergency number and let them know that this is happening. It's unlikely to be able to do anything specifically because most of these originate in other countries and there's no jurisdiction or anything like that. But it is important for them to know what's happening. And then, they can then also be putting the word out and helping guide people on how to react and that kind of thing. Okay. The one other one that happens is sometimes it's called a dead call or sometimes a one ring call. And what happens there? Your phone rings and then just goes silent, or it'll ring and you'll pick it up and there's nobody there and you just have to hang up. So what's going on with those? What they're hoping you'll do is just hit the callback button on your phone.
Okay.
Right. And this is typically landlines, not cell phones so much. You might look at the number, it might look like a local number. But what's actually happening is you're dialing some country in Africa somewhere that has, an $80 connection fee and a $40 a minute charge,
right?
Something like that, and that's how they're getting their funds. So typically, don't return dead calls.
Friends leave friends voicemails.
Exactly. I mean, if you think you recognize the number and they go, "Oh, so and so called me," don't hit the callback button. Just go to your contacts or just put the number in manually yourself, so you know that you're actually going to that person, and double check it out. I mean, earlier we'd mentioned that there was one exception to this whole process, and that's where, just say no, and that's charities calling.
Right.
And that one is more difficult because charities do legitimately run phone campaigns,
right?
Door-to-door campaigns. So what do you do? And it's quite possible that somebody's done a little bit of research on you, might know that you've supported, let's say, the Red Cross in the past, or the charity of your choice, and they'll phone up and go, "Hey, we've appreciated your support in the past. We're in the middle of a pandemic. The need is great. Would you be prepared to make a donation today?" And you kind of go, "Oh, okay." But you've no guarantee that they are who they say they are. Remember, we talked earlier in passwords, another session, about your password is how you prove that you are who you say you are. How do you know they're actually the Red Cross and not some other organization?
Right.
The advice there is the same. Go, "Yes, I'm interested," if you are, and either send me the mailer, so you get an envelope in the mail with the form and everything. Now that increases their costs, and they generally don't like doing it. Or check, or hang up, say, "Call me back tomorrow," and then overnight check them out online. Most charities that are running bona fide campaigns will have an online presence as well.
Right.
You can check it out, or phone them up and go, "Hey, are you guys running a campaign?"
Yeah.
And if that's the case, maybe you make a donation right there on the phone, and then when they call back tomorrow, you go, "Hey, I took care of it."
Yeah.
But never do it on the spot.
When in doubt, check it out.
Check it out. Just take that little bit of extra effort and go around the loop, check it out, and make sure that it's, never give your credit card information out online until you've done some form of verification check.
Right. And Ken, I know that we in our first session talked about this a little bit, but what about emails? So what should I look for? Of course, there's still the sense of urgency, but realistically, we can actually tell from an email in the subject line, even if it's maybe legitimate or not. So how do we know what emails are sketchy?
Some emails can be very, very convincing, and some are laughable. If you get an email that looks legit and you suspect that it might be, it's the same advice for every one of these, and you've mentioned it already, is check it out independently. Do some research on the side and see what's going on.
So
for
send
emails
a
like
message and say, "Hey, did you send me this email or not?"
Frequently, if you just take the subject line of the email and put that into Google, you'll get a ton of results that go, "Hey, here's this email."
Right.
Now, I mean, in our previous session, I was saying I wasn't a fan of Chrome as a browser for various privacy reasons. I am a fan of Google's Gmail service.
Okay.
Because they are excellent at filtering out this stuff. They kind of keep track, because they see so much email on the planet. They can identify very, very quickly what those scam emails are and stop them even getting to you.
Right.
So if you're on Gmail, it's actually unlikely you're going to get, or less likely you'll get something that's nasty. Again, never click the links in those.
Friends, don't send friends attachments without warnings.
Definitely.
So the truth of it is, though, these things do happen, and on occasion we fall for them. And I know that you've touched on this a little bit, but what should we do in the case that we have sent, say, our credit card number to a person that turns out to not be legitimate?
In the case of a credit card, time is of the essence.
Okay.
Just contact your credit company as quickly as possible and see if we can get the transaction canceled. Right? Notify law enforcement. You know, they will be able to advise on the specifics of the situation and help you go through the process to maybe be able to recover the funds.
Right.
You know, in cases where you've bought prepaid credit cards or wired the money, it's actually unlikely that you'll be able to recover. But again, I'd still talk to law enforcement, and just so they know it's happening and can hopefully prevent it happening to other people.
Well, this has been really helpful. My last question, I guess, would just be, is there any one-stop shop for making sure we don't get any of this stuff? I want you to say yes, but I know you're going to say no.
No, not really. I think the best option is one I've already mentioned is, you know, from email specifically, Gmail does an excellent job of filtering out a lot of these things. For the rest of it, it is just being aware of the signals that we talked about and frankly being skeptical. And, you know, it's sad. You have to be naturally suspicious of anything these days. You know, you take the attitude that somebody has to prove to you that they are who they say they are and not just make any assumptions.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the only real safe way forward.
Well, thank you so much. This has been really helpful for me, and I know it will be helpful for others. I feel a little bit more equipped to know when I should be worried about something or when I maybe shouldn't. So I really appreciate you taking the time, and we will continue in the coming days.
Thank you, Andrea. Take
Bye.
care.